Welcome to our final lecture together here in this course. We've reviewed a lot of information, but knowledge without action is just that, just information. Now, at this point, you've invested hours learning about cybersecurity as a competitive advantage. You now understand threat landscapes, risk frameworks, governance structures, and strategic positioning, but it's important that doesn't just stay in your head. Thomas Edison, the co-founder of General Electric, once said, "Vision without execution is hallucination." The executives who transform their organizations aren't the ones with the most knowledge. They're the ones who translate that knowledge into disciplined, consistent action. So in this final lesson, we want to review a personal 90-day action plan to be a concrete roadmap translating everything you've learned into tangible steps to strengthen security as a competitive advantage in your organization. We're focusing on a 90-day horizon because 90 days is long enough to accomplish meaningful change, but short enough to maintain urgency and accountability. It's a sweet spot between strategic thinking and tactical execution. Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric, GE, is quoted to have said, "In reality, strategy is actually very straightforward. You pick a general direction and implement like hell. 90 days gives you the structure to implement while remaining agile enough to adapt as you learn what works in your specific context." This 90-day plan will be organized into 3 distinct categories. The first category is quick wins. Actions you can implement within the first 30 days that deliver immediate, visible value with minimal resources. John Cotter, Harvard Business School professor and change management expert, identified short-term wins as one of the 8 essential steps for leading successful organizational change. In his research, Cotter found that quick wins serve multiple strategic purposes. They build momentum, establish credibility, and silence critics who doubt whether change is possible. Your quick wins might include updating your organization's security awareness messaging, scheduling your first board-level security briefing, or implementing a risk prioritization framework that we discussed earlier in this course. The second category is medium-term initiatives. Projects requiring 30 to 60 days of planning and resources, but will significantly strengthen your security posture. These might include developing a formal incident response plan, conducting your first tabletop exercise, or establishing cross-functional security governance committees. Guillaume Noé, the head of cyber resilience for the Queensland state government, offered a brilliant analogy in a recent industry presentation. He said cybersecurity is like brakes on a car. It's not there to stop you, it's there to give you control and confidence to move forward safely. Your medium-term initiatives are about installing those brakes, creating the structures and processes that give your organization the confidence to pursue digital opportunities, knowing you have the appropriate controls in place. The third category is long-term strategic shifts, the fundamental transformations that will change how your organization approaches security over the next 60 to 90 days and beyond. These are your cultural changes, your governance restructuring, your strategic repositioning of security from cost center to business enabler. Myrna Soto, founder and CEO of Apogee Executive Advisors and former CISO at Comcast, captured this perfectly when she said, "CISOs need to frame cybersecurity as a business enabler, not just a cost center. Show how security investments drive customer trust and long-term resilience." So let's walk through the structured planning process that will help you prioritize which concepts from this course will have the greatest impact in your specific context. Step 1, assess your current state. Before you can plan where you're going, you need an honest assessment of where you are. Think about your organization's current security maturity. What are the obvious gaps? Where are they? What's keeping you up at night? What incidents have happened in the past year that revealed weaknesses? Stefan Napo, the Global Chief Information Security Officer at Group SEB, said it takes 20 years to build a reputation and a few minutes of cyber incident to ruin it. Your current state assessment should identify where those reputation-destroying minutes might come from. Step 2, identify your highest impact opportunities. Review the major topics we've covered in this course: threat intelligence, risk frameworks, governance structures, board communication, incident response, vendor management, security culture, and competitive positioning. Which of these areas represents your biggest opportunity for improvement? Michael Porter, Harvard Business School professor, taught us that strategy is about making choices and trade offs. It's about deliberately choosing to be different. You can't do everything at once. Your job is to identify the 3 to 5 areas where focused effort will generate the greatest return. And step 3, match opportunities to timeframes. Once you've identified your priority areas, categorize them into our 3 buckets: quick wins, medium-term initiatives, and long-term strategic shifts. Be honest with yourself about what's actually achievable. Peter Drucker warned us plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. Don't create a plan that looks impressive but sits in a drawer. You want a plan you'll actually execute. The sequence in which you tackle initiatives matters enormously. You want to build momentum effectively, starting with your quick wins, as these early victories serve multiple purposes. They demonstrate change is possible, they build your credibility as a change agent, and they generate enthusiasm for the larger initiatives to come. Remember what we discussed about John Cotter's research. Generating short-term wins is essential to prevent the loss of momentum. Without those early victories, even well-planned change initiatives can stall as fatigue and doubts set in. But the critical nuance is that your quick wins should connect to your longer-term vision. Each small victory should be a stepping stone, not a random accomplishment. When you communicate your quick wins, explicitly link them to the broader strategic direction. As Vincent van Gogh said, great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. Your quick wins are those small things, and together they add up to transformation. No strategic plan succeeds without stakeholder buy-in, and in cybersecurity, securing that buy-in requires a particular approach. Levon Burke, VP of Legal, Global Security, IT, and AI at Dell, advises that CISOs must translate risk into a language the board understands. Instead of talking about encryption, explain how it prevents financial and reputational loss. This principle applies to all your stakeholders, not just the board. When you present your 90-day plan to your CEO, your CFO, your operations leaders, speak in terms of business outcomes, not technical implementations. Talk about customer trust, competitive advantage, regulatory compliance, and operational resilience, not firewalls, encryption algorithms, and vulnerability scanners. Matt Malone, a board director and former partner leading risk consulting at KPMG UK, offers another crucial insight. Rapport isn't built in a crisis. CISOs need to engage the board before attack happens, educating them and establishing trust. Your 90-day plan should include proactive relationship building with key stakeholders, not just asking for resources, but genuinely educating and partnering with business leaders. Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, understood this deeply. He said people want guidance, not rhetoric. They need to know what the plan of action is and how it will be implemented. They want to be given responsibility to help solve the problem and the authority to act on it. Your plan should create opportunities for stakeholders to own pieces of the security transformation, not just be informed about it. Every action in your 90-day plan should have a measurable outcome, not because metrics are inherently valuable, but because they enable you to demonstrate progress and adjust course when needed. Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it, but be careful not to measure the wrong things. Don't just count training sessions completed or policies written. Measure behavioral changes, risk reduction, and business impact. For example, instead of measuring number of employees who completed security awareness training, measure a reduction in successful phishing click rates or increase in employee-reported suspicious emails. These metrics tell you whether your initiatives are actually changing behavior. Winston Churchill said, however beautiful the strategy, should occasionally look at the results. Build regular checkpoints into your 90-day plan, at 30 days, at 60 days, where you honestly assess whether your initiatives are generating the expected outcomes. If not, review your plan and pivot. Any strategic plan will need to evolve. Threat landscape changes. Business priorities shift. You'll discover that some initiatives are harder than expected, while others deliver faster results. Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces and 34th President of the United States, said plans are nothing. Planning is everything. He was saying that the value of planning isn't the document you create. It's the thinking process that prepares you to respond intelligently when circumstances change. Your 90-day plan should be a living document, not a rigid contract. Eric Ries, the entrepreneur and author of The Lean Startup, reinforces this idea by saying you don't need a 100-page strategic plan to execute. You just need to make the call and go. Start executing, learn from what happens, and adjust accordingly. Timothy Youngblood, who served as the CISO at Asterisk Security and formerly at McDonald's, captures the modern security leadership mindset by saying cybersecurity isn't about avoiding risk, it's about managing it intelligently. Your plan is a tool for intelligent risk management, not a guarantee against all threats. This course ends today, but your security leadership journey is just beginning. Let's think about a framework for continuing to grow. First, stay current. The threat landscape evolves daily. The frameworks we discussed will be updated. New competitive dynamics will emerge. Commit to continuous learning, whether through industry publications, professional associations, or ongoing education. Second, build your network. The most effective security leaders have strong peer networks. They share threat intelligence, benchmark practices, and learn from each other's experiences. Cybersecurity is not a solo sport. As Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, observed, no matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you'll always lose out to a team. Third, measure and iterate. After your first 90 days, build your next 90-day plan, then the next. Each cycle, you'll become more sophisticated in your planning, more accurate in your estimates, and more effective in your execution. Mansoor Hasib, in his book Cybersecurity Leadership: Powering the Modern Organization, captured the essence of this mindset, a risk management approach which focuses on the organizational mission and focuses limited resources on high-priority security threats and opportunities to develop a balanced program is much better. This approach views cybersecurity as a strategic asset and a business opportunity which gives the organization a competitive edge. I started this lesson with the observation that knowledge without action is just information. So please think about this question. What will you do differently starting tomorrow? Your downloadable workbook includes a complete 90-day planning template. It's a good idea for you to complete it within the next week, while this material is fresh and while your motivation is high. Larry Bossidy, the former CEO of Allied Signal and co-author of Execution: The Discipline of Getting Things Done, defined execution as the ability to mesh strategy with reality, align people with goals, and achieve the promised results. This is exactly what I'm encouraging you to do. Take the strategy you've learned in this course, mesh it with the reality of your organization, align the people around you with clear goals, and achieve real results. Ginny Rometty, the former CEO of IBM, declared that cybersecurity is the greatest threat to every company in the world, and that's the challenge. But the opportunity is that leaders who understand how to transform security from a cost center into a competitive advantage will be the ones who thrive in an increasingly digital world. You now have the knowledge to be one of those leaders. The only question is whether you'll take action. Let's close with words from George S. Patton, the legendary military general. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you have every resource you need. Start now. Start small. Start with your first quick win, and then build from there. Thank you for joining me on this journey through cybersecurity as a competitive business strategy. I'm honored to have been part of your professional development. Now go execute, go transform your organization, and go make security a competitive advantage.